All right, here we are. Welcome to Win the Day live stream Friday edition. It's a little new edition. I changed offices, so if you see a background, that is what it is, which is interesting. Change happens, right? Don't know if it's ever not happened. As soon as it doesn't happen, we're in deep stuff. But that's not what I want to talk about today. What I want to talk about today is growth, learning, knowledge, all that stuff, right? Because here's the thing. If you're like me, you watch a lot of podcasts, you read a lot of books, you go to a lot of seminars, meetups, things like that, right? And you're always getting more, like the great rebel yell is. The problem is I think most people don't give enough time for what they learn to grab hold and pay them back for the effort they put in to learn it in the first place. They're on a hamster wheel that never stops moving. So what I want to talk about, I'm going to do it myself starting right now, is I'm going to take something. Well, I'm going to think about it over the weekend. I want to take something, think about it, and put it out there as this is my thing till Christmas time. This is my thing. I'm going to learn something. I'm going to put it to practice. I'm going to make a bunch of errors. I'm going to adjust a bunch of times, and I'm going to try again, and I'm going to make more errors. I'm going to adjust more times. And by the time Christmas rolls around, which is what, 8 months, 9 months away from now, 10 months, whatever number of months away from now, and I'm going to be significantly better at whatever that one thing is that I said I am going to get really good at. All right. I'm not going to be kind of a little bit better on a bunch of other crap because I don't care. I don't care about the other crap. If the other crap's important, it'll show up in my life otherwise. And maybe at Christmas time, one of the other crap things will be my next 6-8 months of all in full immersion. I've even heard if you want to learn a foreign language, move to the country, right? Go all in, right? So yeah, that's what I'm going to tell you, especially coming off of family reunions, especially coming off all these award shows, especially coming off of podcasts, books. There's so much self-help out there and you need it. There's a lot. I'm talking about day-to-day motivation's one thing because you need that like a shower every day. But there's certain things you need to take root, to go deep into the ground. So when a storm hits, you don't get blown over, right? Too many storms hit and too many people aren't deep enough. They're too shallow and they fall over. Okay. So don't misinterpret what I'm saying is motivation. Get your daily motivation. That's your daily shower. Figure out where that comes from, who that is, or what that is. But find one thing that you're going to just go all in 100%. You're not doing anything until that thing's done. All right. And I'd say that's lead gen, but there's parts of lead gen that you need to go all in on. Figure out what that part is. Okay. Thoughts? Anyone? Y'all have a thought on that?
Yes. Well, you hear all these things where everybody goes and they learn and they write all these notes and they're all fired up and then they leave and
I do it.
Yeah. Within a few days, you've forgotten everything. So one of the things that I do whenever I go to events, to use that as an example, is I go through my entire notebook, notes, what have you, and I will write down on one sheet of paper all my best ideas, and then I prioritize them. And you can either do like what you're doing, like if it's a really big thing, I'm going to be really good at this by Christmas. They say it takes 21 days if you do it every single day to ingrain a habit. 30 days.
That doesn't make you good. It just gives you a habit.
It just gives you the habit. You're not great at it, but you've got the habit. If you learn something at an event and you're trying to decide which ones you want to implement, it's worthless to go to an event and learn and not take action. So you've got to take your ideas, prioritize them, and then decide which ones you're going to take action on. And if you can't make up your mind, you don't pick two. You do one for 21 days consecutively without fail.
Hold on. I'm going to say this. If you can't pick one, you haven't found your one. It should be clear to you. Is that not true?
Well, there's sometimes multiple ideas that you can implement simultaneously, but there's going to be one or two. You think of it in terms of moving the needle. I know people get bored with that phrase, but if I were to actually master this one thing, and this were to come true, if there were no limits, no financial limits, no physical limits, no time limits, if I were to be able to do this one thing, how much would that change my life? So that's how you prioritize them. And then you implement them until they're a consistent habit. So you can pick one for 10 months, or you can say, I'm going to pick them in this order. And until I get someone else to say, yes, you've mastered this habit, I'm only going to do this one thing. And if it's something that's easy to implement, like it's just, I'm going to do my calls at 9 o'clock in the morning. Okay. When you've mastered that, you can add something to that. You know, if they're
These
little
scripts,
things,
I'm going to get the just listed script down. That doesn't take 6 months.
right, exactly. So if it's little things and you implement one
But scripts
habit
will take
every
time.
month instead of 21 days, let's say a month, that's 12 great new habits in a year.
Mhm.
So it doesn't have to be, you know, every month on the first I'm going to add a habit. It's just when you have mastered whatever the priority is, then you can add. But just know it's a minimum of 21 to 30 days to change your behavior. If you're doing it consistently every single day, 21 days. If there are days that you're not, it's 30. So let's say you implement one every 30 days. If they're minor, that's 12 great habits that will change your life in 1 year.
Crazy. Here's the thing. We go to these seminars. We watch the people on stage talk about how they did what they did. Then we go home all fired up. We're going to do what they did. And then we do it for like a week, and then that's it, it ends. But just keep in mind, they're on that stage because they became a master of that one thing or two things that they did. They're not up there talking about something they tried the other day and they're seeing how it goes.
Yeah.
Right. But we're all in the audience with a bunch of seeing how it goes going on.
Well, and I think it's taking the time to slow down and think through, how do I implement this? How do I slowly create an action plan? Because without that, if you don't really think through it strategically, it's not going to deliver.
Nothing will change.
Across all aspects of your life. Could be your work life, could be your financial life, could be your health life, whatever.
What do you think will get you the most? Like if you're, let's say you're 400 pounds, it's really hard to go show homes if you're 400 pounds. So maybe the first thing you work on is getting healthy.
Unless you were 500.
Right. It's just, the whole point is it's not necessarily the same for everybody. What's going to make the biggest change in your life?
Yeah. It's about
that
you.
will get you closer to your goals.
Mm-hmm.
Destiny, you run up against
it's got to be something that you're genuinely interested in. I found for me, you know, we always talk about what is your why, what's your niche, what's your thing. And I struggled for up to probably about 2 years right now finding what that was and trying to farm different areas and realize I really love being on Navarre Beach. And so that interests me, that excites me to be out there and see the people and talk to the people out there. And so that's something that I've said, hey, this is what I'm going to work on for the next few months and see what comes of it. I'm going to stay with it. I'm going to keep doing my open houses out there. I'm going to just go sit on the beach and just people watch and just observe everything and anything that I can around something that really interests me. And so I think it's hard because we want to compare ourselves to what other people are doing, especially on social media, when that's not going to work for you because it's not really interesting to you.
Right.
Very cool. So what I'm saying is this. Focus. I think that's what we're doing. We're going to focus on something. Find something. It's a per time, right? Because we're coming to is it the end of February today, tomorrow, soon?
Today's the last day of February.
Today's the last day of February. So March 1st. Let's dial in. Spend the weekend thinking about what would move the needle, right, Julie? What would move the needle? What in my life can I do, or what do I need to learn? And go buy all the freaking books. Go download all the videos. Go deep on that thing.
It has to be an action, and you have to be, you know, to Destiny's point, you have to be motivated. It has to resonate with you. My son, who was a good student, but he hated school, he hated class, and he got done with high school. And one of the things that we do is we go to Mexico every so often and we help build houses. And we're down there building a house for a family. and everybody was talking, not everybody, the family that was receiving this house, that, they'd get excited, then they'd cry, then they'd this, and they would be talking to my son and to me, and I don't speak a word of Spanish. I know how to ask where the bathroom is and how to get a beer.
You threw a Taco Bell line pretty quick though, right?
Right, exactly. I don't know much, right? And I felt really bad because they're pouring out their hearts and they're crying. I'm like, I need someone to help me. And my son, the same thing. And he was really frustrated with that. And he came to me and said, Mom, I want to learn to speak Spanish. Will you put me through a class here at Scottsdale Community College? I'm like, Jack, you hate school. You won't do it. That's not going to work for you. And so I talked to my husband, and he said he needs immersion. And we called around and talked to different people, and we found a place in Costa Rica, sent him there. He stayed with the family. He had class every single day. He lived with this family. He ate with this family, and they only spoke Spanish to him. 3 months later, he came back fluent.
Yeah. Very cool.
Yeah. And
see, here's the difference between him and me. I would come back and they would speak English. What?
But he found his why. He found his passion.
Yeah,
but the point is immersion, right? And I know most people can't just stop your life and go do something. I want to learn to speak Spanish, but whatever that thing is, you got to dedicate the majority of your time in your day to whatever that thing is. You got to figure out how to calendar it so it's the first thing, so that you don't take it off your calendar, so something doesn't substitute in, so that you're like, I'm committed, and
get great at it.
Yeah. If the only way you're going to do it is by doing it first thing, then get up and do it the first thing in the morning.
But Mark, you can get bored with it, right? You got to battle through that, right?
There's always going to be boredom. And boredom just means you haven't shaken it up, and you got to reattach it to your why.
So here's what I'm getting at. A lot of folks will come in, and they'll move things around. They'll put barrels. I use the construction analogy. All of a sudden, there's barrels all over the damn road, right? Mm-hmm. There's something's about to happen. They're putting barrels everywhere. It's just going. They're changing traffic lanes. They're doing. And then you never see another soul working there for like 6 months. Like, what on earth happened here? Right? Yeah. People are really good. And I find that creative people are really good at setting a plan, but they fall apart when the details, when the grind kicks in. Okay. They get all their papers together. They get all their scripts together. They got 1 through 30. They're going to check off the thing, and they call one person, and then we're done. Well, tomorrow, though, look out.
Most of us have 3 categories of what we fall into. There's create, execute, and finalize. And we have energy towards generally one primarily and a second one with much lower intensity. And the third one we suck at.
So what do you do?
You have to find someone to hold you accountable or to finish, to hand the baton off to. Think of it as a relay. So if someone else is better at creating, you find someone who's great at creating if you like to execute and finalize. If someone else is great at finalizing, you have to be, if you're the one that creates and executes, then you hand someone the baton to finalize.
Mark, you're a coach. How do you do that?
Well, I do think that there's a part of this that, and my audio's lagging. I apologize.
What?
You've one is chunk it down. I said the other day, you eat an elephant one bite at a time, and if you choke on the pieces, slice it deli style. So I think you got to slice it down into manageable chunks. You also have to, Dan Kennedy talks about the gap and the gain. Look back at the gain frequently. You've got to, so many times we see this gap of where we're wanting to go that we fail to look back and see the gain, and we get discouraged. And so it's one, do I have a realistic, manageable activity that's tied to a significant why? And am I looking back to see the gain? Because that in and of itself is reinforcement. And where you really suck, you've got to ask yourself, do I need to master this, or do I need to leverage this? Because there are some things I know that I will never master. I could, but it would suck the ever-living life out of me. So that's a leverage point for me.
Yep.
Yeah, you've got to find someone. I once saw a guy speak. I can't remember his name right now, but he talked about when you go to school, there's certain subjects that you can get A's in, and there's certain subjects that you struggle to get D's in. And he said the problem with the education system is they're always focused on the D's and trying to make the person get a C out of a D. He's like, how about you focus on your B's and make your B's A's and hire someone to do the CD stuff. Now you're only working on A's. You're always on high energy. You're super.
I could get anybody a D pretty easy.
Right? Hand that off to someone. Don't try to become average at something that you suck at. Become excellent at something that you're pretty good at. Hand the rest off.
Okay, so let's get some workable thing here. How do we make? What do we do? If somebody's watching this. What do we tell them?
Find one thing.
How?
I think listen to passion and let's look at impact. What is that one thing? And I'm going to go back to Jay Papasan's book, One Thing. What's the one thing that I can do such that by doing it, everything else becomes easier or unnecessary? So that's prioritization, to Julie's point. What is that priority thing? Start there.
Go start even further out, maybe.
Yes.
Is it health? Is it business? Is it wealth? Or what is it?
Back up.
Start with something like that, and then go back. I think we talked about it this week. How?
Yeah.
Until you've got a plan you can work.
Like Destiny says, and I can totally relate to what she said. You know, for several years, I would hear people say, find your USP, find your passion, I'm like, how?
Unique selling proposition, right?
Yes. And I would say back up and just, if you type fast, type. If you write fast, write. But brain dump. Just put on some soft music, close the door, don't let any distractions, turn off your phone, your computer, and just brain dump everything that comes into your head. What am I passionate about? What do I care about? And then maybe come up with some categories: financial, business, emotional, physical, health, spiritual, family, and just pour all your stuff out. And then look at it and say, what is jumping off the page? And then
can you do 2 different categories at the same time? Can you focus on 2 different things? You don't have to do it at the same time, but can I be dialed in financially, but also dialed in health,
physically?
Yeah. But it's
right?
hard. It is. But if you're really focused on one thing and you're failing at, let's say, you're overweight. Okay, I've got to focus on drinking more water, eating less food, and working out.
But can you do that while having a job and focusing on your job too, right? That's my point. You can't.
It's finding your
job. You should
life.
focus on your job. On your health, you should really focus on losing weight or something. I don't know. Whatever.
Eating healthy, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But just I think the two should coincide with each other. I think if you're working on your mental health, how can your mental health benefit you and your business?
Right.
Yeah. I'm just saying, pour it all out. So that the things that make you passionate, or that it's most important, like if my business was doing great, if I could make $1 million this year, that would completely change my life and make a lot of other things unnecessary. And you'd be able to delete them or less important. So
I want to travel Europe for 3 months. Okay. How? I got to earn money. I got to get in better shape. I got to do this. I got to get somebody to whatever.
Right.
All of a sudden you got it. But here's the thing. Let me just go back to the beginning. Because so many of us just went to family reunion. We just went to Buffini's thing. I know Craig Proctor's putting out stuff. Mike Ferry's having his all-star stuff. Everybody's doing stuff, right? And YouTube's pervasive. Social media is pervasive. We get stuff all the time. Keep the motivation stuff. You got to, because you need it. It's like a shower every day. You need that stuff. But hone in on a part of your life, a business or whatever, and go deep, all in until Christmas time. Because I'll tell you, you might be able to learn a script, but maybe the script is just part of prospecting is your thing. You're going deep, right? Until Christmas time. And I know 90 days creates a habit, but 9 months will create a life if you can do it, right? And don't get tired, don't get bored, don't get frustrated, even though you're going to get all of those.
Here's what I'm going to say is, instead of saying don't get tired, don't get bored, don't get frustrated, it's when you do inevitably hit that pause and say, what's going on that's leading to boredom? What's going on that's leading to frustration? Frustration's nothing more than anger over blocked goals. Okay, what do I perceive as the obstacle in between what I'm wanting? How do I address the obstacle?
Yeah.
And so you will feel those things. That's where most people go, I shouldn't be feeling this. No, I am. What's going on? Let me think about it. Let me come up with a strategy and move through it.
But go deep. Get all the info you can. Practice. You're gonna suck. Just know this too. When you start, you're going to suck. And the problem is you're going to go get excited because you're going to see somebody who's great and you're not going to be great.
Tie it back to your goals. I want to be really good at this. This person's really great at this, and I want to be really good at this. Or like my son, Jack, I want to be able to speak Spanish. Now, more than going to Mexico and building homes and be able to talk to those families, he uses Spanish all over the place all the time, and he's fluent.
Yeah.
Well, and I think also real quickly, because the internet guy's going to show up and I'm going to have to run.
Do you think you'll look like Jim Carrey?
Maybe so. Be careful not to listen to so many people. I'll never forget. I had a wonderful father-in-law. He's passed, but we were playing golf one day, and I said, "You know what I want?" And he said, "What?" And I said, "I want a motor scooter." And this was years ago. And he said to me, "You don't want that." And I stopped and I said, "Actually, Paul, I do." Now, am I going to get one? Probably not. However, that's what I want. There will be people who will tell you what you should do, what you should feel. And that's where you need to step back and go back to, what do I want? Good book, Road Less Stupid, is a book all about thinking and learning to think that leads to implementation.
Love it. Okay, so final word here. Julie, you got anything?
I would say pour everything out of your brain and then prioritize to help you find your passion, because it's hard to figure that out.
Journal.
Yep. Destiny, tell us something good.
I would say kind of like what Julie was talking about, immerse yourself in whatever it is that you are interested in. Learn the language. How do these people talk on the beach versus how do they talk on the golf course? Learn their language, learn how to answer their questions. And the only way you can do that is by fully immersing yourself in that world. So
I gotta start golfing. I'm gonna get a scooter and go to the golf course.
Hey, I like golf. It's got a hook and a handicap in it.
All right, Mark, give us the last word. What do you know about this stuff?
Look, think, prioritize, allow yourself to germinate and marinate, and then make a choice and move forward.
Kyle's at the golf course right now.
Yeah.
And I don't think he's cleaning clubs. He's cleaning up is what he's doing. He's taking money off those suckers. All right. So here's what I'm going to tell you. Give yourself a chance to learn. Love learning. Learn to love. Whatever you want to say about that. But also take it to the next step. Learn to apply what you learned.
Yeah.
Otherwise, you're just chasing your tail.
You need to take action.
Yeah. All right. So when we come back, it's going to be March. I'm going to call you guys over the weekend. There's going to be some changes. I want to make some changes to this. It's going to be new. And Mark's got the commuter guy. How about the computer guy or the cable guy? He's got Jim Carrey there. All right. So, hey, have a great, wait. It's Friday. We want to end the week on an up. Get all your leads, all 2 of them, all 80 of them, all 1 of them, and reach out to them. If they're a seller, hey, you were thinking about selling. Is that still the case? What's the next step? Every week, right? Buyer, hey, you were thinking about buying. What's the next step? Are you still thinking of buying? What's the next step? All right. And if you see Kyle on the golf course, high five him. Let's go to work. See y'all.
Bye-bye.
Bye, guys.